What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the Sun and Moon era, and we're also going to relate it to the Scarlet and Violet era, basically doing the same thing we did yesterday in regards to loose pack price versus booster box pack price. But I do want to start off by just taking a look at the new UPCs that are out or are coming out. So the Mega Charizard X1 has been out a couple days at this point. TCG Player says it's around $195 recent sales. I think are in that range. Yeah, 195. We have a couple over $200 as well, but it's around that point. I think the promos are decently expensive. You get a lot of packs in there as well. I'm not a huge fan of buying this product at like $200. I'm kind of at the point where getting UPCs that have a mix of packs inside is just not my favorite thing. And then also just out the gate, looking at what Pokemon's doing, they're doing more print runs of like the super premium collection. Considering that Costco, Sam's Club are getting a lot of product, I imagine there's going to be a reprint or restock of these in the future. So I'm not going heavy into these, but if you want to buy one, awesome. The Team Rocket's Moltres EX UPC, this I believe is out in like Mexico and other parts of the world like Europe. It's going to be GameStop exclusive in the US. I think Black Friday, like the 28th coming up, that's where you're going to be able to get it. But tons of these are still selling on TCG Player already in like the $245, $255 range. Again, you're getting a mix of packs inside. I believe that the stamped Moltres card is still fairly expensive. I've actually taken a look at it. You'll see it in the thumbnail as well. I prefer the original from Destined Rivals. I'm just not a huge stamp person, but that's where you're going to be able to get this on release if you guys haven't been paying attention to that. But moving into the conversation today about the Sun and Moon era, relating it to yesterday's conversation on the Scarlet and Violet era, we do have more data, and I've left in the SV era stuff from yesterday so you can kind of compare and contrast between the two different eras. And we will do Sword and Shield tomorrow as well. But when we look at loose pack price, I do want to explain a couple things. I took loose pack price from TCG Player for all of these. I'm actually just going to exit out of those UPCs right now. You can see here, loose pack price coming from TCG Player. These are still fairly consistently selling on the platform, and that's why I decided to use these numbers. However, when it comes to the booster box price, a lot of these are not that accurate. There's not a ton of sales on TCG Player. So what I did for booster box price in this chart here is I took the average sale price of eBay solds over the past 14 days. If you guys know, I do an update in my spreadsheet every 2 weeks for the Sun and Moon era. That's where these prices are coming from. I'd say just in general too, if we want to have a small conversation about the SV era, or excuse me, the Sun and Moon era as a whole, it seems like prices are starting to stabilize, at least on some of the top sets. For example, Team Up, I think last update, average sale price was $8,150, $8,200. This week, you'll see there, if we go back to the chart, I think it's almost $8,100, $8,091. So that's basically bottomed out, I think, at this point. Unbroken Bonds, Unified Minds, I think they were maybe down like 5%. And again, like there's not a ton of sales data. We're talking about like maybe 2 to 3 sales per week on these boxes, but they're getting to a point where I don't think they're going to go much lower. Cosmic Eclipse is kind of surprising. TCG Player Graph says $3,900. I'm curious to see if there's any, yeah, there's no recent sales at least going to Canada, but on eBay North America, there were 2 sales over the past 14 days, and the average sale price, I believe I put in here, was $2,825. So Cosmic has dropped a ton relative to some of these other tag team sets from the Sun and Moon era, which I did think was a bit interesting. But if you guys didn't watch yesterday's video, the whole point of this is that we look at the loose pack price for a set. For example, Sun and Moon base, you're sitting at $15.03. We look at the booster box price, $750. We divide this by 36 to get the rough estimate of what a pack inside a booster box is going to be worth, rounded to the nearest cent. So inside of a Sun Moon era booster box currently, the base set, $20.83. That gives us a ratio loose pack to booster box pack price at 0.72. I'd say this is in a normal range. Yesterday I said it's probably going to be somewhere between like 0.75 and 0.85 for newer sets. Older sets like Sun and Moon era, XY era, you're probably going to see these ratios be a little bit lower. And the reason for that is as time goes on, there tends to be a higher premium on the sealed booster boxes. But for the purpose of our conversation today, I'd say that this is actually one of the most normal ratios we have in the Sun and Moon era, if not the most normal. And after that, we're just going to go over a couple quickly Forbidden Light, $26.18 for a loose booster pack. When we look at the booster box, average sale price over the past couple weeks on eBay, a little over $1,200, comes out to $33.48 per pack, 0.78 ratio. It's in a decent spot as well. Same thing with Celestial Storm, 0.81 ratio. You're looking at $45 for a loose pack on TCG Player, whereas in a booster box based on 2K sale, we're at $55.56. Lost Thunder, same deal, 0.83. Getting up there a little bit, but still in a decent range. Team Up, 0.86. That's actually a little bit high, in my opinion, for a box that's worth like $8,000. And maybe with something like this, we just don't get enough sales data. I know we still get a little bit on TCG Player. You can see here like a couple sales the past week. Before that, the 10th, there were a couple sales. The 9th, there was a sale. For me, that's sufficient data because I think when you look at eBay, you're probably going to be dealing with the same thing. But when I look at the Sun and Moon era, even that isn't really concerning to me. The ones that stand out, obviously, we got to start with Ultra Prism. You can see here the ratio is 1.09. And this basically means that if we go to TCG Player, the loose pack price currently, what packs are selling for, is more than what you'd be paying if you averaged it out from 36 packs inside a booster box. You're getting $36.81 approximately as your buy cost in a sealed booster box, which if it's ever over one, that should be a telltale sign that the booster boxes are probably undervalued. Maybe they've overcorrected. Something like Ultra Prism, I think at one point we were talking about like a $1,700, $1,750 average sale price a couple months ago. We're now back down to around $1,325. And this again is a box that I do think has stabilized in this range. I don't think it's going to go much lower. You could also try to make the argument that the loose booster packs are in fact overvalued compared to the booster box. I don't think that that is a winning argument, honestly. When you look at this, I'm pretty sure most people would agree that the booster boxes are probably just a little bit undervalued. And outside of Ultra Prism, there are a couple other ones that are a little bit concerning to me. For example, Guardians Rising, we're at a 0.96 ratio. The loose pack, almost $24. Whereas inside a booster box, based on recent sales, you're only about $24.81. So Guardians Rising, again, this is a booster box that a couple months ago was probably over $1,000, $1,100 average sale price. And I think, again, it's just a set that I can't see dropping too much more in the short term. And a couple more here. These are probably the most interesting ones to people. Unbroken Bonds and Unified Minds, ratios 0.94 and 0.91. That's not the highest on the list, obviously, but when I look at what Unbroken Bonds and Unified Minds have done over the past couple months, it is surprising to me how much they've dropped. That said, if something like Cosmic Eclipse is going to go all the way back to being like a $2,800, $2,700 booster box USD, you kind of have to assume at that point Unified Minds, Unbroken Bonds are going to be less than it, right? Because objectively, when you look at these three sets, Cosmic Eclipse is the clear number one. I think you can make an argument Unified Minds or Unbroken Bonds would be the number two, but that's not really relevant since Cosmic Eclipse is ultimately going to be the box that's deciding the price for both of these ones. So that's really all I wanted to talk about today in terms of the booster boxes. One more small thing before we leave. Dragon Majesty ETBs. This is kind of out of left field. It's only based on a couple data points, but the past two sales on eBay North America were at an average sale price of $850 USD. And I think even at the peak, like a couple months ago, Dragon Majesty was only selling for like $700, $750. I do assume that this has to do with there just not being a ton of boxes on the market, but at the same time, it might be worth something to keep an eye on in the future. Then also Shining Legends, we didn't really talk about this today, but this is still doing its thing. I think average sale price, you're somewhere between $600 and $700. I can't remember the exact number. If you guys got some value out of this video, I'd really appreciate if you'd leave a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below for the algorithm. It really does help out a ton getting these videos pushed out to more people. Also, no channel sponsors, but if you guys do want to access the spreadsheet, link in the description down below. Also, if you are getting into Pokemon or One Piece investing, I do have consult calls there as well if you need some help going through the process. But with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching the video. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next one.